When Alice returns to work after years as a stay-at-home mom, her husband hires a maid to help with the household. But the moment Grace walks through the door, the entire family freezes. She looks exactly like Alice. Same face, same voice, same eyes. Who is this woman? And why does she feel so familiar? What begins as eerie coincidence soon unravels a buried family secret, one that will change their lives forever. After years of being a full-time mother to her two young children, Alice felt the quiet pull of the chalkboard and classroom again. Teaching had once been her passion, her life. But with her kids now old enough to attend school themselves, she knew it was time. Henry, her ever-supportive husband, suggested hiring help from a reputable maid agency to ease the transition. Alice agreed, albeit reluctantly. But nothing could have prepared her for the moment Grace stepped into their home. The air thickened with silence. Alice's heart pounded in her chest. The woman standing at the door wasn't just similar. She was identical. The same dark eyes, the same smile, even the nervous tug at the sleeve. Henry blinked in disbelief while the kids stared in quiet confusion. Grace, oblivious at first, smiled politely and introduced herself. But the moment she locked eyes with Alice, something flickered. Confusion, unease, and perhaps recognition. That night, Alice barely slept. Her mind churned with questions. Who was Grace? How could someone so unfamiliar feel so known? The next morning, she searched through old photo albums, hoping to find a clue. Henry, equally puzzled, encouraged her to talk to her mother, Mama Alice, a stern but loving woman who had always been guarded about the past. Days later, Alice made the trip to her childhood home. The reunion was warm, but beneath it lay tension. Sitting across from her mother at the old kitchen table, Alice pulled out a photo of Grace she had taken discreetly. Her mother's face paled. Her hand trembled. "Mama," Alice whispered, "who is she?" Mama Alice stared at the photo for a long time before tears filled her eyes. "I hoped this day would never come," she murmured. With a broken voice, she revealed a secret buried for decades. Alice had a twin sister, born minutes apart. But due to poverty and desperation, one child was given away. "I didn't have a choice," she sobbed. "They said it was the only way." Shattered and stunned, Alice returned home with more than just answers. She carried the weight of a family divided by circumstance. She invited Grace to sit with her one quiet evening, heart pounding as she held out the faded photo of their mother. Grace's reaction was immediate. She gasped, tears forming in her eyes. "I know this woman," she said softly. "She was in a dream I used to have as a child." As Alice gently explained the truth, Grace's hands trembled. Her entire life had been shaped by silence and unanswered questions. Adopted by an elderly couple who had since passed, she had spent her youth moving between foster homes before landing a job with the maid agency. For years, she had felt a strange emptiness she couldn't explain. Now the puzzle pieces clicked into place. The two women embraced, overwhelmed by emotion. Henry watched from the kitchen doorway, holding back tears. The children, sensing something had changed, tiptoed into the room, wrapping their arms around both women, accepting their aunt without a word of doubt. With the truth laid bare, Alice and Grace began to bridge the years stolen from them. Grace moved into the guest room, not as a maid but as family. Her gentle nature and playful spirit lit up the house in ways Alice hadn't seen in years. She bonded with the children like a second mother, teaching them simple recipes, dancing with them in the living room, and whispering bedtime stories. Meanwhile, Alice felt her heart healing. For so long, she had wondered if something was missing from her life. Now she knew it had been Grace. Mama Alice visited weeks later, her arrival filled with nervous anticipation. The reunion was tense at first, but Grace, surprisingly forgiving, welcomed her with an open heart. "You made a hard choice," she said gently, "but now we're here." Tears flowed freely that day. Inspired by Grace's talent in baking and Alice's business sense, the sisters decided to start a small home-based baking company. They called it Twin Whisks, a tribute to the lives that had finally whisked together. Months passed, and life found a new rhythm. The baking business thrived, with neighbors and locals lining up for their unique flavors and heartfelt story. The children proudly helped, calling themselves the Taste Test Team. One morning, Grace received a letter from the agency. News of an inheritance from her late adoptive grandfather, a man she barely remembered. The funds were enough to buy a cozy storefront in town. The sisters stood in the middle of the empty shop, imagining shelves of pastries and walls covered in family photos. I used to think my life was an accident, Grace whispered, but maybe it was just unfinished. Alice smiled, wrapping an arm around her. Not unfinished, just waiting for the right time. As the ribbon was cut on their new bakery, friends and strangers came not just for cakes, but to witness a story of love, forgiveness, and fate. The two women, once strangers, now stood side by side, sisters not only by blood but by choice, proving that even the deepest mysteries of life can lead to miracles when hearts are open to truth.